let's watch Bringing Among Us to Nintendo Switch. Among Us became a global success. Gwen Foster at Roboteddy explains how to bring the game to as many players as possible, building a support system, finding the right partners, and more. Let's welcome Gwen Foster, Senior Business Development and Production at Roboteddy and Innersloth. Hello, Gwen.
Hello.
The screen is yours.
Uh,
Feel free.
okay. Good morning, Brazil. I will talk about bringing Among Us on Nintendo Switch. So, just like a quick history, Among Us was released on Android and iOS on August 2018. And then on November of the same year, it was released on Steam. On launch, not a lot of people actually bought or paid attention to the game. But in July 2020, last year, the game started gaining traction with streamers on Twitch, and there was an announcement that Innersot is working on Among Us 2. Uh, the next month, which is August 2020, Among Us was cancelled. Among Us 2 was cancelled, and Innersot decided to work on more content on Among Us, which I will talk more in detail. Uh, Now, like from September up until now, like Among Us became one of the most played games on Steam, on mobile, and essentially in the whole world. One of the things that when we were brought in is that people really wanted the game on Nintendo Switch. So Innerslot actually reached out to us because they're such a small team, and then we planned around it. So, Among Us. Just as a background, Among Us is an American science fiction murder mystery game developed and published by Innerslot. Originally, the team at Innerslot, Forrest, Marcus, and Amy, really just wanted to make a game that they could play with their friends. It's very mafia and werewolf like, where you have to find the imposter among the crewmates. So the imposter's goal is definitely to like to sabotage the ship, to across multiple maps and kill everybody while ensuring that the crewmates don't finish their tasks, or else like it will result to a loss for the crewmate, for the imposter. So if you're a crewmate and then you play the game, you have to complete the task along with your fellow crewmates. There are multiple maps, and then at the same time, you have to find out who the imposters are. And if you're the imposter, you have to kill the crewmates and don't get caught. You have to also sabotage the ship itself. So, like this is ensuring the compromising communication so that people can't communicate well. This is also like activating the nuclear reactor. This is cutting line to the oxygen supply of the ship itself. And then there's usually a timer so that so that the crewmates will panic, and then they have to fix it, or else like it will result in the victory for the imposter. You also have like fake tasks like on the upper left corner of the screen, so that when people do the vote, that you could say that, oh, I was in this section of the ship, and then to camouflage. So as a player, and if you're the imposter, it's best that crewmates do not actually suspect any of your interaction. It's a very uh, people and social game where following somebody else might cause the other player to think that you're the imposter and that you're finding the right time to kill them, but at the same time not being seen within the map itself like could also um, you know raise suspicions that you've just been traveling to the vent. So it's a perfect balance of trying to find and that players like see where you are, and then they know that you're doing the task itself, and also not having yourself get killed or be caught if you're the imposter. So as you go around and then when you start the game, there are two ways on how to start the voting process, which is one, you find the corpse and you report it. If you're the imposter and you manage to kill somebody else, you could self report. And then the next one is that you find the emergency button in the map and then you press it. The emergency button doesn't necessarily need a crewmate to get killed, so you could actually just do it anytime. Like if you feel that you already know or like have a good idea of who you want to eject if you're the imposter, or then you just press that. So during the voting phase, you can talk. This is the only time that you could talk to your fellow players and then decide who to vote for. There is a chat system where you could type in, and then you essentially try to convince everybody else like who you think should be ejected on the ship. As with everything that requires voting, you could also skip your vote so that um, if you're not sure on who you suspect, then you can just say that, yeah, we found the body, but we don't actually really know who killed this person, so that's why we're just skipping until we get into a more informed decision. So yeah, like if there's a successful voting, if majority of the people voted for somebody, then definitely one of the players will get ejected. So I will talk about how we ported to Nintendo Switch. So at the time, Inner Slot only had 3 team members, which is Forrest, Marcus, and Amy. And when they started to gain traction and all of this attention, they actually reached out to us at Robot Daddy to help them with a lot of things, like finding the right partners for console development. So one of the things that you have to know is that um, Among Us itself is developed in Unity, and it was a mobile first game. So when we were looking for partners to work with, so when they signed us up back in September, one of the first things that we had to do is to find the right partners to support Among Us. We definitely looked into porting partners so that Among Us could focus on making the game, and then the porting partner could focus on bringing the game into console. Uh, Out of all the people that we talked to, Play Everywhere, who are also based in Seattle, were the people that we like and we felt like very happy to partner with, just because like they really know the stuff, they have good relationship with Nintendo and other consoles, and then they've also ported other games before. The thing that like among Innerslot itself was in a good position because like the game was already making money, but then we had to bring it to as much more players that we can, that it was just the right step for a team like this to hire a porting partner instead of doing the porting itself, because there were just like 3 people, and Roboteddy itself we're essentially an external internal business development and production team for whoever hires us. Uh, we had to do like a big planning on things. So this was if a lot of you were looking back to last year, this was the time leading to it that the game awards were coming up. There was a new map. A lot of the players looking were asking for the team itself to fix the servers. There were also a lot of players that were under the age of 18, and then uh, there were just too many things happening at the same time. A lot of people like wanted to partner with InnerSword, and you can imagine that with just 3 people who have had the game released for some time, and then it suddenly blew up, like it could be too much. So me and Robot Daddy, we focused on different things, and what the thing that I focused specifically on was bringing and handling the relationship between Nintendo, Play Everywhere, and Inner Slot. So when this was started, we this was back in October, and then when we started to do the planning, we actually just had 6 weeks before our planned release date. Nintendo uh, reached out to us and then said that there's a possibility for the game to be included in indie world, and we definitely wanted to say yes, but then at the same time, we just like onboarded all our partners that like is this possible. So we had a really long discussion, and then yeah, we just had 6 weeks, so we had to plan backwards alongside Nintendo, alongside Play Everywhere, and alongside Inner Slot. So when you have 6 weeks of development, even though like it's the game is made in Unity, there are certain things that have to be factored in and have to be considered when you're porting. So the things that we chose to focus on was one, like if you have a Switch, there's definitely like touchscreen support. So we wanted people to like do the tasks, and because the game was already designed on mobile, like that was easier. So we just had to make sure that the things were working and tested properly on Switch. Another thing is that we had to ensure that we supported Nintendo controllers. And the thing about that is because, again, the game is mobile, and during this time, there was still no controller support for for the game itself. So there were a lot of design decisions that had to be made like, almost, like quickly. So there wasn't a lot of in depth. And it was such a good thing that we were working with Play Everywhere because they've ported a lot of games on Switch already and they knew the best practices. And then another thing is that we had the choice that if we were to launch on Switch, definitely on the server side, like there was the choice that we could just have all Nintendo player play with Nintendo players, but then Among Us has always been a cross-platform multiplayer game. So we wanted to ensure that Nintendo players could play with everybody else. And these meant that at the time the servers really had to be fixed because with the influx of players, there was definitely problems, and it was getting frustrating for some of the players who really value the community. So during the time that Play Everywhere was porting to Switch, the Inner Slot team was very focused on ensuring that we had the bandwidth and the capacity to support incoming players from Switch. And the thing is that so Nintendo has Nintendo Japan, Nintendo of Asia, Nintendo of Europe, and then Nintendo of Americas, who invited me here. Uh, the game itself, like Among Us, when it got so popular, didn't necessarily have a lot of localization, and most of them were just made by the community. So one of the things that we also did is we partner up with Lockit QA, which is Mika, who we've worked with in the past at like Super Hot and then Teenage Blob. And then we told him that we needed to get the game, properly localized, at least in Japanese and Korean, which is we regressed and then decided that supporting so many European languages, like this was something that like we could do later because the game itself like had to be reworked to support more languages. So what we didn't do, this was very rough, but because we just had 6 weeks, we had to ensure that the game is playable and enjoyable for people on Switch. Personally, for me, like I really love all the assets, like all the skins, all the hats. I have both pets, and I use them when I play Among Us, either on my phone or on Steam. But the thing is, we chose not to do add-on content or AOC on launch itself because it would just need a lot of testing, and we have to ensure that the players on Switch also get the best experience when they want to purchase skins and cosmetics. Another thing that we couldn't do within the 6 weeks, and this is throughout all the other platforms experiences, was add-in accounts, which was also needed independent for the AOC. So like accounts itself, having people like log in, and save their data, like save files, like that wasn't something that we could do. And then we couldn't do quick chat yet for better communication on console. And sadly, we had to cut airship like on the last um, week. So it was very hard, but honestly, we had really good partners. We really valued health and communicated properly. So that's why we were able to launch within that 6 weeks. And Nintendo like went beyond and above to really help support us, just because even with all the other partners, we were still a very small team with such a big game. So we released on December 15th, 2020 on Indie World, and I will show you the video. No, nobody knew. We didn't do any announcement. We wanted to make sure that we were working with Nintendo to tell the players the best way possible.
Just about wraps up today's presentation. Huh?
There's an imposter among us.
Not me. I saw you around the vents, though.
Excuse me? You're the suspicious one.
What? Look, we have to work together to complete tasks on this spaceship before the imposter sabotages and takes out the other players. We gotta figure out who it is before it's too late.
I don't even know if our friendship will survive at this rate.
Because you're the imposter. That's it. I'm voting you out.
Oh, whatever. I'll convince you I'm not the imposter when Among Us launches on Nintendo Switch later today.
So that was our indie world, and then I think it's good to point out that we actually chose to have Play Everywhere and made sure that they were credited alongside us, because honestly, this wouldn't. Yeah, having Among Us on Switch wouldn't be possible if it weren't for the team. From then on, like we've done a bunch of campaigns, such as the My Way campaign, which is one of my favorites. This was launched like in February this year.
What time is it?
It's time.
Okay, let's go.
Let's get this started.
Payback time.
Definitely your little brother.
Wait, what? I heard that.
Who sabotaged the O2? It has to be purple. Wait, who's following me?
Are you the imposter?
Follow me.
Oh no.
Got you. Same group, same time. That's our way to play. Nintendo Switch.
So yeah, so what was the biggest challenge when we were making the port for Switch? Definitely like not having the full game itself like on launch. We did announce on Indie World on December 2020, but all the things that like we've said, we had to make sure that we followed through on the things that like we couldn't add in. So on February, even after the launch, like we were working really hard with Nintendo to make sure that everything that we wanted to have in the game was there. On February, we launched in Korea. We placed age gate to ensure that there's some system where we have to know who the people who play that are under 18. On March, we released Quick Chat, which makes it easier to communicate on console. Airship was also finally released. And then right now, we're developing the 15 player mode and fixing all the bugs to ensure that we have the best experience. And then we're also doing AOC for Switch finally. So yeah, our future plans is definitely we want to add voice chat, friends list, a new map, definitely more server improvements, a new game mode this year, and definitely a revamp on the add-on contents. So yeah, that's all that I have. If there are any other questions, I would be more than happy. And thank you so much for inviting me to Big Festival.
Hey, Among Us definitely taught me how to be a good liar. But I think I have some questions from the audience here.
Okay.
Just wait a moment. What was the biggest challenge when making the port for Switch?
So definitely we had to cut a lot of features, which is fine because at there were some hard decisions. We only had 6 weeks from when Among Us became increasingly popular to when we actually released and announced on Indie World. I don't know any other game that who would do that. I don't advise it at all. One of the benefits is that Among Us is a very small game, so that there were just a bunch of things that like we had to focus on. We've had to cut. It was very hard to like do communicate because usually when people play on mobile or on Steam they like use this word, but we're actually working right now to ensure that we have voice chat supported for Nintendo.
Amazing. Yeah, you are doing a good job. I think I have one more. Yes. Since the game made a huge success worldwide, how the team managed to interpret the immense amount of feedbacks in so many languages?
So one of the things is that we actually work with a support partner, and then one of my team members, Flip Velas, is actually the one doing it. So Victoria, who is our community director, works with Flip, and Flip also works with everybody else. We have like a guidelines to ensure that as much as possible uh, we address all the concerns even in languages that we don't know. So we tell our support partner that would it be possible, what are they saying, like this is in Russian or this is in Portuguese, like could we have somebody to translate this so that our players are well taken care of. So that's very important. Like we did say that we launched with just English, Korean, and Japanese, but now we have so much more languages available in the game. So it's been an ongoing process to ensure that everybody gets the support that they deserve.
Amazing. Well, Gwen, our time is up. Would you like to say goodbye?
Yeah. Obrigado, Brazil.
De nada. Thank you. Thanks ever so much. Thanks to Gwen. This panel was amazing. We come back in 5 minutes. Please stay with us.
Big Festival 2021, the biggest games festival in Latin America.